This is our Couture album, and this is personally my favorite kind of wedding album. And I always say this is our signature album in Offbeat, and very, very popular here. It's a little different, it's a little offbeat, and it's not your traditional, typical wedding album. So let me kind of run through what these books are all about. So this is a 200 side wedding album, and you can see how easy I hold it. It's light, it's not heavy, it's very easy to hold, but there's 200 images in this book spread over 200 sides. So this book is a fine art magazine style. So the pages are thin, and so they're not that thick, heavy photographic paper, and rather they're printed on a press. And because it's printed on a press, we have this thin paper. So because we have these thin pages, we can have a lot of pages. So the capacity of these books is the largest capacity that we offer. These books have the possibility to go up to 400 sides, which is a very, very big book, chock full of wedding pictures. So I love these because you can have a lot of images in the book. So again, let me just kind of flip through so you can really get a sense of how these books feel. And let me go into kind of the nuances on why I really like these. So these books, the experience is everything with these books in my mind. Now you can have a lot of images, but I think what I like the most is that all the images are going to be big images. So this is a 10 by 13 image here, and we just have one single image on a page, and we're going to kind of use that throughout the design. So there's, in stark contrast to our fine art line, where we storyboard and include multiple images on a spread, these spreads are 1, 2, maybe 3 images. Very, very simple. So we're really trying to feature a very simple layout with very large scale images. And the reason I think that's cool is because you look at each and every image as a standout, and you're not really distracted by a layout. And so I find that when I watch couples and families go through wedding albums, that they tend to linger a little longer on each picture with these albums than they do in our other lines. So we really, really like the images, like I said, to take up full pages. When there's a horizontal image, we typically will have a pair, so we'll do 2 up like this, or we'll spread it across both pages. So these books do not lay flat, but they're almost laying flat. So there is a gutter here, but as you can kind of see, it's pretty flat. It's not a huge gutter. We can, and we do, put images across both pages, like you can see right here. The one thing to note with that is that every image is not going to work going across both pages. We are going to have to, choose images where there's not important information in the middle of this page. So for instance, if this bride's face was here, it wouldn't work. Sometimes what we'll do is we'll kind of modify it so it's a 3/4 page and not a full, and we'll do a couple different things, but we really love, look how nice that is. Feels like you're there. So again, I'm just going to flip through so you can see, some of our layout, and I do have samples that you can click through as well of some of our layouts. But I think these books are bold, and they're cool, and they're modern, and they're easy to hold and look through, so they're very friendly. With the Couture album, we offer 4 different sizes. This is definitely the fan favorite. It's a 10 by 13, so it's a really nice size. You can see I can hold it really easily and, really just hold it in my arms and look through it. We have a 10 by 15, which is a lot bigger. And then we have a 8 by 10, which is a nice size. And we have a 6 by 9, which is a nice small pocket size album that parents usually like. So we have 6 by 9, 8 by 10, 10 by 13, 12 by 15, and the 10 by 13 is by far the most popular. For parent books, the 8 by 10 is a really nice option since it's a little bigger than the 6 by 9. In the Couture book, we have 3 different paper options. We have a white felt paper, which is this book, which has a deckled edge. So this is, I'm going to show you this one because this is the hardest to to understand. So this one has a ripped edge, and I hopefully you can see the ripped edge. It's a hand ripped edge, which gives this book kind of a more rustic feel to it. This book feels like an old world journal. It has a leather cover with a strap and you know, some deckled edge paper, but you know, you don't have to deckle the edges, but I think it's pretty cool. So that gives it like a whole different look, and when you don't have ripped edges, then it looks a little more modern. So we have 3 different options for the paper. We have the deckled edge, hand ripped white felt paper. We have the recycled paper, which is actually my personal favorite. It's a little thicker stock than the deckled edge. So your book becomes a little thicker. It just feels a little more substantial, and it has a really beautiful matte finish to it. And if you want to be earth friendly, it's 100% recycled. And then the third and final option is the semi-gloss paper. So that has a little bit of a sheen to it. It is a thicker stock, just like the recycled paper, but rather than having a matte finish, you have a semi-gloss, which, you know, tends to pop your images a little bit more. So it's kind of personal preference. I will say my personal favorite's the recycled. I do find that, you know, pretty popular amongst most, you know, offbeat couples. Second runner-up is going to be that deckle-edged paper, the white felt paper. I find that, you know, it either fits your style or it doesn't. You know, you either really like that kind of rustic vibe, or, you know, when you want that old world journal feel, or you want something more modern. And then the least popular option is the semi-gloss. Again, it's personal preference, but that's just, you know, my 2 cents on things. You obviously can have any paper that you want. We have many different cover options for our couture book, leather being the most popular option. We have 4 different leathers. We have black and 3 different shades of brown. This is a brown leather album here. You can see all our swatches on our website. This is a feature that we offer. It's a on the leather options only, and it's a strap, which again, if you like that old world look, then the strap is cool. I find that once you take the strap away, the book looks a whole lot more modern. And again, you can see pictures of this on our website. One of the biggest questions I get with couture books is, well, I get 2 big questions, but the biggest one is, will my pages rip? And the answer is yes. If you guys go like this and you try to rip your page, it's absolutely going to rip. But like anything, you just need to be careful with your albums. If you have small children around or pets that you're afraid are going to get into something, put your album on a shelf. Treat this album, no matter if you have thick pages or thin pages, pages that will rip or pages that won't, treat it nicely. And nothing bad's going to happen to it. But I love the answer that, you know, my binder gave to me, and they were like, well, when was the last time you were flipping through a book or even a newspaper and the page just ripped? And probably very, very infrequently, if ever. So they're not going to rip unless you intentionally try to rip them, and in which case they will. But I mean, I hope you don't try to rip your wedding album. The albums are really durable, and they are built to last. I've been using Couture Book for the last 10 years, and they tried and true. Everyone loves them. A lot of people ask me, well, what's the difference between this and something I can make online? I know a lot of you are, you know, familiar with Shutterfly Books and Blurb Books and all these like companies that you can go make your own book online, and they also have the thin pages. There's a huge difference, and it's in the binding and the paper selection. Number one, the papers used by Couture Book are top of the line. They're beautiful artisanal papers that you really just can't get anywhere else. Number 2, and probably the more important part, is the binding. There is a stitch binding here. So they're hand sewn together, and that means they're built to last. All those books that you can get online and create yourself, those are all glue-bound books, and they are bound to fall apart at some point if you are going through them a lot. Glue-bound books are simply no comparison to a stitch-bound book, and that is what Couture Book is. It's a stitch-bound book. It's going to stand the test of time. I would never sell you a glue-bound book because I know that they would fall apart.